Terminator was 1984. They had some rights issues, which explains why this is now 7 years later that we get Terminator 2. Also, James Cameron was busy making The Abyss, making Aliens. Profile had raised so high to a point you got to Terminator 2, he's paid $6 million to make this movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger getting the highest payday ever with $15 million at this time to make this movie. And because of that, this is, at the time, the biggest budgeted movie of all time at $100 million. Now, these days, everything is like $100 million budget, $200 million. Everything you see in theaters is like $100 million. But back then, that was a huge thing, $100 million. The investors were very worried they weren't going to make their money back. But over the course of the last 30, 40 years, if we prove anything, James Cameron's proven that you always make your money back with a James Cameron movie. Amazingly, with the $100 million budget, Terminator 2 would gross worldwide $500 million on the $100 million budget, thus 5 times the money.
Yeah, but doesn't Hollywood consider things that is only 5 times over what their original budget was a flop?
The math is weird, but I don't think this is the case back then. But now it's like whatever the budget is, and then you multiply that by 2 because then that's advertising. So $100 million budget, then $100 million for advertising, $200 million. But then you have to split the cost with the movie theaters. So if it makes $400 million, $200 million goes to the movie theaters and $200 goes to the studio. So it is like a weird thing where you have to get over a big hurdle before it starts getting profit. But yeah, if you're 5 timings though, you're getting profit no matter what. So I saw this movie on video when it first came out. Well, I think I think I saw it on video like 93-ish.
Okay.
I remember right after that, I saw Last Action Hero because that came out in 93.
Yeah.
So I think I saw this in 93. But I've seen it on video a lot since, on TV. Interesting casting decisions when they're making the movie. James Cameron had this idea. I want to get your take on this. It's brilliant, but I don't know if it'll work. The whole thing, obviously, with this movie compared to the first one is that we had Arnold as the villain in the first one, and now we have him reverse rolling. Now he's the Terminator sent to protect John Connor.
Yes.
So the twist was going to be, originally cast to play T-1000, or was the idea, was going to be the guy who played Reese in the first one, Michael Biehn. So the idea was a complete reversal where now Reese is sent back as T-1000, the actor playing him, and then you have Arnold back. But at the last second, James Cameron figured it'd be too confusing for the audience to like see them both in these different roles. So he nixed the idea. But that would have been interesting to see, just a complete role reversal. But I don't see Michael Biehn like being able to play a villain in that way. He's got that kind of
not in his
heartthrob face.
So I'm going to say this: not in his younger years. In his
nowadays,
now he could. But
think of young babyface Michael Biehn.
No.
So the other thing was that, did the audience know going into it? Because the movie from the beginning, the idea is like, do you know which one's the good Terminator, which is the bad one at the beginning? Because apparently at first the first trailer that came out was keeping that a secret. Like, you just show Arnold like ominously, and obviously you've seen part 1, so you're like, oh my god, the Bat Terminator's back. And then you could just be like, oh well, Robert Patrick, he must be sent back in time from the Human Resistance. So the early trailers kept it a mystery, but then like the final trailers before it came out revealed basically that Arnold was one of the good guys. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about, like the movie, the way it's filmed, it does try to keep it kind of a mystery at the beginning, even though you can put some clues together in hindsight and be like, oh yeah, Robert Patrick's definitely the bad guy here. You're talking about the first one or this one?
This one.
I don't think he kills anybody though. The only thing that reveals that I think that he's a good guy is that silly Bad to the Bone music. I'm bad to the bone, and the glasses and all that. Then you're like, okay, this is clearly the hero. But yeah, I don't know if he really kills as much in this movie, so that's one thing.
Well, he definitely doesn't when he meets John.
So one thing about this movie is the Terminator explains essentially that, I kind of theorized this in the first one, but maybe I was actually remember from the second one, that with these Terminators, the more they interact with humans, the more they learn about how we act and how to act themselves in the world. They learn more as they interact with us.
Well, that was still shown in the first one, but it wasn't outright specified.
Yeah, in this one, we're going to see, and I'll explain later, even T-1000 seems to develop more of a personality as the movie goes on, it seems.
It's kind of hard not for Robert Patrick not to have a personality.
So Robert Patrick at this point was basically like an unknown actor. This is kind of like a bold casting decision to cast like an unknown dude as your main villain. And not only that, but I think there was some idea of like casting some big hulking dude to square off against Arnold. It works so much better that he's like a skinny, but even though he's skinnier, to me he's actually more threatening than Arnold in the first one.
It's because of what he is. He's liquid. He's literally a liquid metal. I mean, and not to mention, you got the face.
His face. I came away feeling like he's literally one of the best horror villains of all time. Because he's actually more scary than most of like the horror villains. And it's something about his demeanor and like the way he moves and like his facial expression. So a couple cool things Robert Patrick did to prepare for the role. He knew he was going to be doing a lot of running in the movie. So he practiced running, but he practiced the idea of running without breathing. So when he's running, he's not going to be out of breath. So he's breathing through his nose while he's running. He also got very fast. Yeah. So that scene where he's chasing him on the moped, right in the mall garage. Mm-hmm. On the first take, he actually caught the moped. And James Cameron's like, cut. He's like, well, the movie's over. He just caught John Connor and killed him. So they had to be like,
slow down.
So the cameraman is there too, waiting when Rob Patrick walks out.
Because doesn't he outrun the cameraman too?
So James Cameron had to be like, listen, as soon as you see him coming through the garage door, take off. And the cameraman's like, don't worry, he won't catch me. He's like, no, as soon as he comes through, you take off. So they had to keep doing it because like the dude basically, there's no like speeding up the camera. He's running that fast. That's actually him running. When he's running at you, that is scary as hell. Like, I'm like, jeez.
And he kept that run throughout all of his movies.
Yeah.
Look at The Faculty.
Yeah. I mean, that dude he does have like a menacing villain face. He's somebody I can't buy playing a good guy, really.
I'm sure there's one out there where he's a good guy.
Linda Hamilton's back as Sarah Connor now. She requested, she was like, listen, I don't want Sarah Connor to still be like a harmless maid type. I want her to be like...
Well, it would make no sense if she was.
She's like, I want her to be a badass. Not only did she bulk up for the role, she trained with the military, with military guys for months, learning how to shoot weapons. She had never shot a weapon before. So she went through tactical training. She really got into it. She's the gold standard. You saw like where with the new Halloween movies, Jamie Lee Curtis basically became a Sarah Connor ripoff when she's the old, grizzled, whatever. But she still looks like Jamie Lee Curtis. Linda Hamilton looks like a different person from the first one. She's jacked up, her neck's grown, and her face is like hardened. She doesn't have the same innocent thing going on.
And I agree with her on this case because it would not make any sense with her knowing what's coming for her to still be like an innocent woman who couldn't do a damn thing for herself.
Because in the story, she has to be somebody who can teach John Connor combat, basically, get him ready to be a leader, essentially. So their relationship is kind of undefined at the beginning. It seems like she did train him as a kid.
She did.
But he always thought she was psychotic.
Yes.
And then she tried to break into somewhere to expose something.
A computer factory. A computer factory, yeah. She got shot and arrested when trying to blow up a computer factory.
So she's been thrown in the
mental institution.
Mental institution, pretty much. And now and obviously John now has foster parents, and she thinks...
And they don't like him.
He thinks she's a loony. We only see the foster parents for a few scenes, but maybe he's a little bit hard on them. Were they actually assholes? I don't know. I mean, it seemed like...
They try to make him clean up his room.
Is that so unreasonable? John, clean your room. Fuck off. No, wait to say that. But, I mean, is it...
I mean, he does, really.
His attitude was like, fuck, I'm like,
I mean, I guess to be fair, it's...
You're not my mother.
It's not unreasonable for us, because that's how we grew up, but...
They're not saying tar the driveways. They're not saying go rebuild the deck. They're like, go pick up your clothes. It's like, Jesus.
Well, I mean, what was it? The dad comes out... Again, it's kind of hard for me to say the dad's an asshole because of the way my dad was, but he comes out and goes, John, get your ass in there and clean that room. Goes, yeah. It's like, well, he's a teenager at this point, so.
He's a rebellious teenager. He's with his friend. They're planning to go to the mall. The only time they see foster parents, one of them is when T-1000 shows up to question them. Mm-hmm. But when they bring up the idea of, like, there's, like, some other guy on a bike looking for John, they're like, should we be worried about him? He's like, I didn't understand. Like, So, what did you think? Did he know about him?
So he most likely knows about him, but I feel like his character should have been like, yes, actually, that's who I'm trying to protect him from.
Yeah.
Kind of add that little bit of making us still think that Arnold is still a villain at this point.
But here's why I think he's just telling them a story. So, okay, so let me give
He has to be telling them a story.
Let me give the theorized canon, though, in terms of, like, what people say online. Because there's like Terminator comics and there's like a lot of fan theories, but back in the future time, 2029, Skynet, they send Arnold back to 1984 to kill Sarah Connor. They also have this new prototype. They haven't really tested out yet, T-1000. Mm-hmm. As a backup plan, at the same time in 2009, as a backup plan, they send him now to 1994 to, as a backup plan, kill young John Connor.
Yes.
Okay, Resistance comes in, they rush everything. They find out first that Arnold's been sent back, so they send Reese back to deal with that. And then they're searching the factory and they find, I guess, some kind of liquid metal thing that shows that, something else was sent also. So now they find a room where you have all the Arnold robots. So he reprograms one of them and now it sends him back also to deal with that.
Yes.
But T-1000 was sent back before all that. So he really shouldn't know that there's another Terminator sent back after him to stop this. It's a fun moment, but it doesn't make sense in the canon because, he doesn't know that someone's been sent back to stop him from doing this mission.
Yeah, but at the same time, with the way this character kind of is constantly learning, I feel like it would make some sense that the programmer would say, yes, something like this could happen, because notice how when they gave him the description, it's like, okay, that sounds a lot like this, and most likely Skynet would have a program of what the Arnold robots look like.
So in the comic, there's also a note about T-1000 where he's a prototype that Skynet was afraid to use. Because with him specifically, they're afraid that he's going to develop a mind of his own and go do his own thing. So they don't feel like they have full control over T-1000. Whatever is in his makeup, that's why it's like he's an untested prototype that's been sent back in time as desperation. Like, if we don't use him now, we're never going to use them. But it's like an untested thing. So it's like they're worried about him getting autonomy, basically.
For the most part, these things really can't be destroyed.
Yeah. And the interesting, too, with the theory is that from the fan theory, they're like, well, we don't know if this 1994 thing is the plan A and 1984 is the backup, or is 1984 the plan A and this is plan B? Because they're both sent relatively at the same time. So it's either one's plan A, one's plan B, or let's do both of them, and one of these things are going to work.
That's what I'm thinking. They're both pretty much plan A. They're just trying to cover their bases.
Did you ever ride a moped when you were young?
Never.
I didn't either, but do they actually go that fast? I thought they would be like very slow.
From what I understand, I think
this must be the fastest moped of all time.
Depending on, well, he was working on it before they actually jumped in. But from what I understand, mopeds, I think the maximum they can go is about 30.
Okay, so maybe he souped it up in a way where it goes faster.
Yes, because we do see him working on it before he takes off.
Okay, because he basically has to outdrive a truck for a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, was the truck just not going as fast as it can, or what? But we'll go with the idea that he souped up the moped, I guess. Let's talk about John Connor's friend, who's a solid buddy. He buys him some time at the arcade.
Right, it's like,
he does him a solid.
T-1000. Hey, you know this kid? Nope. Never seen him.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, by the way, I think I saw him. I swear he was about to tell him. He went that way. It's like,
at that point, he's like,
saw him.
He's like, get out my way at that point. Arnold's carrying what looks to be a box of flowers that actually has the gun in it.
Yes.
Did he kill the person who had the flowers and take that 1-800-Flowers box from him and put the gun there?
Most likely.
Okay.
It's like, it was either give me their flower box. No. Bang.
Well, if there was any mystery about who's playing which role, it's gone once we get to now in the mall.
This chase scene.
Our first chase scene, which the one good thing about this movie that part one didn't have is that in the first one, you couldn't really have a fight scene between Reese and the Terminator because it's like a machine versus a human.
Yeah, the machine would win.
This one, you can actually have them be in combat a little bit.
Yeah.
Even though on the surface, watching Robert Patrick throw on Arnold, it's like, huh?
It's still a robot.
He does have strength, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're flying through walls.
And to be fair, he's not really... Well, I guess he does throw him through a window.
They kind of do like a test. He like matches his strength. It looks like.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it was just Arnold versus Robert Patrick in real life, he'd pick him up overhead and throw him through the wall. This chase scene is scary when he's running after in the garage. It's actually scary. Yeah.
Well, that's because you've never seen someone outrun a moped, which no human being should be able to do.
And I'm just like, man, I hope this dude knows his way out the garage. Because comes flying out.
Right.
Truck driver gets disposed of pretty quick. T-1000 takes over.
Yep.
Arnold had to train in the scene to shoot the shotgun while riding the motorcycle. Mm-hmm. That's actually him on the motorcycle the entire time. And yes,
really? Because it looked like...
Only when they do the jump. I don't think it's him on the jump.
Because, who did I say it looked like? Jean-Claude Van Damme. It kind of looked like him in that. In a few
I know he was doing Predator, but I think by this time his career had taken off. I don't think he's still doing stunt work.
For some reason, he looked like him in the faraway shots of this damn chase.
Van Damme? I'll have to watch that back in slow motion. That doesn't sound right. But
he's even nodding his head. It looked like frickin' Van Damme and the far away scenes, not the close-ups, but the far away shots.
No, Arnold said he said it's actually kind of tricky. He has to actually, as he's approaching the fence, he has to actually shoot the gate, unlock it with the gun, and then drive through it. He's like, this is actually like really a tricky thing he's got to do, pretty much. And this is all, again, everything with T-1000 obviously is now CGI, but everything else in the movie is all practical. So all the sets are real sets that are built, all the explosions are real. The CGI is all just based around T-1000, which his computer effects at that time they had never seen before.
But I will say something. I don't think liquid metal, when it gets damaged, would be protruding out of the thing. I feel like the impact would be going inwards, not for some unknown reason glued on the outside of the...
I don't know if they just went with the...
It looked like
what would be the coolest visual?
It just looked like they took a piece of metal and like taped it to Robert Patrick whenever he got shot. I'm like, that looks freaking fake right there. I don't think liquid metal would act. I feel it would protrude in sort of, but it would be going inwards.
It makes me want to take a bowl of aluminum foil and roll it up and just like throw in the trash can. The poor foster parents. Unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time, wrong child you picked to foster parent.
See, I wouldn't say poor foster parents because the dad started yelling at the dog about the dog, saying he was going to get rid of the dog. Dad deserved that fingernail through the mouth.
That was more brutal than, again, most horror movies.
Also, I want to mention one other thing.
Yeah.
Back then, there's no reason for someone to be drinking out of a carton.
If you're the only one drinking the milk, I think it's acceptable. But if you're putting it back in the fridge and other people have to come drink it, then
that's
if it's your specific milk, I can.
Yeah, that's different. But I don't think this milk was specifically his.
No, maybe I was wrong. Or maybe he is an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
But I got a fun question. T-1000 posing as the wife. How long had he been doing it at that point? And how far was he going to go? Was he going to make dessert? He's actually cooking dinner. Like, how long was he going to wait for that phone call?
Well, he also needs to make sure that the dad doesn't suspect anything, even though he could have just killed the dad.
He's chopping the vegetables. Like, was he going to have sex with the dad later? Like, what? How? The phone call, the cool thing is the dog thing is a good way to figure it out. But
you know what else would have been a good way?
Yeah.
What is your favorite Friday the 13th movie? Oh, part 5. Your foster parents are dead.
Your foster parents are dead. Well, that was like a meme, I think. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. What was your favorite Nightmare on Elm Street? Part 6. Your foster parents are dead.
Your foster parents are dead. I thought about this. Wouldn't it have been strategic for them to be like, play along and be like, okay, Mom, well, listen, we're going to go to Colorado now. Like, just play along and give the T-1000 bad information. You can actually buy yourself some time.
No,
I don't know if hanging up that quick was actually advantageous. It's like, yeah, we're going to Mexico. We'll see you later.
Something tells me, even though we never get the T-1000's point of view, I feel like it could possibly tell when someone's lying. Like, the different frequency waves going through them would probably tell, oh, well, you're lying to me now.
Well, there's a deleted scene, extended scene, where after that, he goes into John Connor's room. First, he finds out what the dog's real name is. So that he's like, what is that? I got a hunch that they're tricking me about the dog. So he finds that. But then he also finds a picture of Sarah Connor, which is going to now inform him to, like, the next step is to go to the hospital.
Yeah, I feel like we should have gotten that because he just randomly appears there. As if he knew she was there this whole time.
I think the T-800 made a good point of, like, where do I think John's going to go? He's going to go to try to get his mom out. So even the Arnold figures it out.
Oh, I'm fine with that part. I'm just wondering, like, he just randomly showed up there without... How do we know that he knew she was there?
Went on her Facebook page. It said, committed to this asylum. And he's like, oh, right, it's right here. So
I thought I was going to say, in a committed relationship.
In a committed relationship with my doctors. I want to talk about real quick, though, the two guys that Arnold just ruins their week for no reason. Because they have to establish this whole thing about... hey, you can't kill people. So unfortunately, these two, I guess, mechanics are just people just coming over to help because the kid was like, hey, help me.
Yeah, I was about to say, to be fair, John is really the bad guy here.
I know, like, they're not that important, but if you think about how much he ruined their lives.
He only beat the shit out of them.
I think he broke one of their arms or something. So.
Yeah, that gets repaired.
That beating was for no reason. They came over to help.
They swung on. They went at him first.
No.
When they realized.
They got there and the kid's like...
getaway loser.
Something like that. And the dude's like, you little dipshit. Like, you're calling me dipshit?
No, yeah. What? It's not even Arnold because technically the kid gave him the orders. Hey, kick his ass.
I can see.
It was John's problem.
Yeah, well, I can see from the scene where John becomes a commander because he's clearly power hungry, starving for power. Because once he finds out that Arnold has to listen to his every word, he's like a kid in a candy store.
Which then he completely changes. Like, no, you can't do that. It's like, kid, make up your mind. You pretty much sick this thing on them. What do you think was going to happen?
But at least he does do a mature thing in establishing, hey, you can't kill people. Because Arnold was about to shoot the dude, like, in the face.
Again, what was the kid thinking that was going to happen from a machine that his mother told him, hey, this thing killed multiple people
Arnold
one
even
night.
said it. Arnold even said it. He's like, you're going to shoot him. And Arnold said, he's like, of course, I'm a Terminator. It's a hilarious line. He's like, I'm a Terminator. What do you expect?
Right. So,
all right,
we get to the hospital escape scene.
Okay, there's a lot going on in this hospital escape scene.
The creepy licker gets his ass handed to him.
He deserves it, for sure.
Yeah.
T-1000 killing the dude with the soda machine. Again, creepy and like, through the freaking eyeball, man. I hate stuff with the eyes.
Yeah, well, stop looking at the eye.
A needle through the eye is like the worst thing I can think
Stop looking at the eye then.
What does that even mean?
Oh,
he puts a needle through his eye.
yeah, well, he puts a needle through a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, so Sarah actually is escaping.
Yes.
While this is going down.
Yes.
And actually successfully escaping, I'd say.
Which makes me question. They say that they've had to stop her multiple times from escaping in the lower security. Mm-hmm. Yet they couldn't stop her in the upper security? I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, like, hey, jackasses, y'all had her committed to the high security because she kept trying to escape from the minimum.
Yeah.
If y'all were able to stop her at the minimum, how could y'all not stop her at the maximum?
I think because in this scene, though, one thing is like, for most of the scene, she has a weapon. And then the one dude tries to attack her and she quickly like beats the crap out of him. So she's pretty much a badass in hand-to-hand combat.
But it makes me wonder, what did she just not fight back in the minimum security?
I don't know. She seemed more motivated this time too, though. So that stupid doctor, her therapist, who he was there in part one, but still is like the biggest non-believer. Didn't you see Arnold come in the police station and kill the entire police station?
No, he left by then.
He heard about it. All his friends are dead. They died in the police station massacre of 1984.
Yeah, but he also assumed it was still just a regular dude.
So now he sees him again in this scene.
Right.
I hope.
He's just like, nah, it's fine. Well, now after the escape,
which we get another Robert Patrick running scene, right. And again, him running is just scary, dude. Like, I don't understand. Like,
but no, now we get not only what D-Day is what's gonna happen on Judgment Day, but we also get when it's gonna happen.
1997.
Yep. August 29th, 1997.
So they wanted it to be like pretty, not like so far out in the future where you can't imagine it happening. They wanted it to be just a couple years in the future, basically. The first movie, the whole theme with the first movie is just that, like the first movie, they're not trying to stop Judgment Day. They're just trying to, you can't change anything. It's just everything has to play the role and go through time, basically,
right.
as one loop, an infinite loop. The second one kind of messes it up because the second one's like, no, you can change the future.
Something tells me they originally did not want to make another movie after this one. Because didn't the next movie come out in 2000?
It does. And so quick spoiler, part 3 goes back to the first thing of Judgment Day was going to happen no matter what.
Right.
So there's all these contradictions here.
It makes me wonder
if
they were even planning on making a third in the first place.
The route they go with this movie, it had to be the last movie then. There's no story after this that you could tell without...
Because if that was the case, the T-800 would have been like, yeah, there's no stopping Judgment Day, which means they would not have let Arnold go down into the lava. They would have just repaired him to continue protecting John Connor.
The first half of this movie is still going perfectly with the exact time loop of part 1, where Judgment Day is going to happen, she's training her son, everything's in line. It's actually, that dream sequence is the one, it's where the timeline diverges off, where Sarah Connor's like, well, actually... fuck this, I can change the future myself. And that's where now you...
So you're telling me none of the other time loops thought to go and kill this Miles Dennison guy?
Fan theories are saying that...
Maybe this is far?
Maybe this is the first time she actually had this dream, for whatever reason. For whatever reason, in this time loop, she has this dream, and she wakes up feeling strong enough to be like, let's go fucking kill this guy. Because... she has to do it rogue. She has to go. She can't tell Arnold about it because her and the son will both be like, listen, we can't kill this guy. Maybe Arnold will be like, oh, okay, if you want to. But she has to go do it undercover because
John would have tried to stop her, which he does try, but she's already stopped herself in the first place.
Yeah. And
I think it's because of the kid.
No. She does, but she shot him. She literally...
she shot him.
She basically shot him in the back. She could have killed him.
But then she herself stopped. She didn't stop because somebody stopped her.
She did, but she still crossed the line, in my opinion.
Oh, she always crossed the line.
I feel bad for Miles Dyson. Miles Dyson's a guy who unknowingly is going to go on to, or would have gone on to, create Skynet indirectly by just trying to advance technology.
Yes.
And the movie does a good job of actually casting a likable actor, making him likable. He's in no way. They could have made it easy on the story to make him an asshole, like some dude who just like cares about. Once he hears about the truth about the future, he's gonna be like, oh, gotta stop it. I'm not working on it anymore. Whatever you guys want.
Which is funny that he did automatically jump to, oh, this has to be real. Sure, I've seen a man's metallic arm, but I need a little bit more convincing than this.
No, I think the metallic arm probably.
It's like, I'll just be like, that's a fucking prosthetic, guy.
And not like that, but they're telling him the future that probably sounds realistic. They're like, okay, in 6 months you're gonna do something. He's probably like, well, shit, I am working on it every day, so it probably sounds all plausible. And also, he's like, well, they feel strong enough about this that she came to kill me. That in itself is kind of like, I have to be assassinated in order to preserve the future. All right, so anyways, they got the idea. This was supposed to happen in the first movie about them going to the factory to kill all that. But
this one is this. I think they called it the Cyberdyne building.
Cyberdyne building, which eventually will create Skynet. John shows his ability to hack into things,
which he already showed earlier to steal $300.
We get a fun action scene where Arnold basically has committed not to killing anybody, but he has an entire police squad that he has to take out without killing them.
Shoots them all in the leg. Shoots 2 with those smoke grenades.
That looks like
sorry,
it hurts.
those should have killed somebody, especially the one that hit him in the chest.
They sound like it knocked the wind. Like I'm like, yeah.
The guy that got hit in the chest, most likely he's dead. His heart stopped the minute that hit.
What if they're wearing they're wearing vests though? Maybe.
Well, yeah, but it's not a bullet that's hitting him. It's like a picture of a sledgehammer coming at you at 10 miles per hour.
Well, Arnold's he's like, trust me. So maybe he's calculated internally that this won't kill him, but nah, I'm pretty sure.
Like I said, imagine having a sledgehammer hit you at 10 miles per hour.
Not like that, but
in the chest.
Not like that, but people have died from getting shot in the leg. You should get a shot in the leg is not an automatic free pass.
Remember Lethal Weapon 3? It's called a dum-dum wound.
Even though T-1000 is not really involved, whenever he shows back up, you're like, oh shit, we still have the main villain to deal with. And T-1000,
he kind of disappears for a good part of this movie. I mean, yeah, we see him, but he's not.
Yeah,
he's not really a threat at this point.
Well, because they're on the run, so there's no way until when they go to the dude's ranch. How is he supposed to be able to find them? They're like at a family's house at a ranch. Like until they
just keep driving
until they show back up in the news. Like they go into Cyberdyne, it's on the radio. Like, oh, attack at Cyberdyne, and he figures it out.
Just keep driving. You'll find.
Well, yeah. You notice when at the very beginning, Arnold's first thing is we have to get out of town.
Yeah.
He's motorcycling up the stairs, through a window to a helicopter.
Yes.
Amazing.
And then makes the guy jump out, which most likely kills him.
He's like, get out. The dude turns and he's like, oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I'll be like, just shoot me.
Whee!
Like, shoot me.
They did a good job. Afterward, they immediately cut to a shot of showing the helicopter slightly above the parking lot. So he didn't jump from a distance, I guess, that was like...
He has a few broken bones.
He's probably alive.
If I thought I was going to die, it's like, you might as well just shoot me. I ain't doing that.
Yeah, but you just saw liquid metal come. He's not going to shoot you. He's going to do something else to you, probably.
Yeah, but every one of his kills are quick and painless.
Okay, but what if you look down and you're like, okay, there's a parking lot right there.
Well, that's different. If I feel like I could survive the jump, yes.
If you look down and saw he's on the top of the Empire State Building, then it's like, I'm gonna stay here and
right. It's like just
hey, let's be friends.
Like, yeah, you need me to fly this helicopter. No, I don't. So we get this helicopter chase scene all the way to our climax area.
Steel mill.
Yes.
First, the liquid nitrogen freezes them. And
yep, but
we
the
get
problem is
hasta la vista, baby.
The hot steel ends up melting him, so he was able to come back.
We do get another fight scene between Arnold and...
This one was an actual fight scene, though. At first, when the fights first started, they were just throwing each other. I'm like, this is the climax. Swing.
Well, they're still robots, so they're going to still have
just throwing each other.
Robotic movement still, so...
I'm fine with robotic movements, but swing.
T-1000 seems like much smarter in combat, though. He grabs the ramming thing and starts ramming his head in. That seems like way smarter than whatever...
Yeah, especially since Arnold did not move. I'm sorry, you have enough time to move after 2.
I don't know about the T-1000. He seems better trained in combat, but it seems like the T-800, he's not like trained for like hand-to-hand combat. Because like, you're right, his go-to is just to basically throw people around and stuff, but I'm even thinking back to when he fought the one dude in the first movie. He just throws him around, basically, the girl's boyfriend.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's really that versed. You're right. He just like
But he
kind of
sat there
clumsily.
and he took it.
Oh, he got beat down pretty quickly.
Yeah, but I'm just like, dude, move out of the way so your fucking endoskeleton doesn't get crushed in.
Because he dies, but then when he loads back up, it shows a map of the steel mill and it has a red dot and it says alternate power.
I thought that was part of his systems.
No, because it was zeroing in on a map of the steel mill. So there's some power source in the factory. This only could work in this factory. As soon as he walks outside, he's probably gonna power down and die.
See, I didn't think that. I thought it was a system. It was one of his systems that did that.
The T-1000 showing personality. Why I say that is because at the end, he's not as focused. Well, first with the T-1000, he's not focused. He's like, he's wasting time doing like finger wags and like, nope. It's like, why are you like showing like villain personality type stuff?
Right.
Like, that's him adapting to our thing. Like he's playing the villain role. Instead of like acting, he's like making facial expressions and like taunting them basically.
Which is stupid because that's what gets him killed. He gives them the time to actually get back up.
It's a cool scene where he kind of goes through like all of his people he's transformed into while he's dying.
When he's in the steel. And then Arnold they try to do the whole "no, don't leave me" shtick, and I'm like, just die already. I'm sorry, it's a robot.
This is the only father figure he's ever had. So for him, he's probably not going to find a father figure like that again. So I can see where there's emotional connection. If you go on the YouTube video for this and watch the comments, this is one of the most made people emotional scenes in film history.
I didn't even shed one fuck to give.
That's because you're a soulless void. So.
I'm
penetrating your cynicism
because
would be
I sent this over text to you is I did not care for this bonding moment BS we're getting at Enrique's ranch. There's been worse kid actors, but the kid for some reason at that last half, I don't know if that was filmed first. The acting from the kid in the first half versus the second half feels like a downgrade.
Okay, I can explain that. They shot the film out of sequence and...
See, that part that's what I was saying. Maybe they filmed the ending stuff first.
The filming took so long. It was almost a year. It was like 8 months of filming. So they said literally the boy, at the beginning of filming to the end, even his voice had changed. So he was like growing. His voice was changing. So like possibly he was actually a better actor in the second half than the first half. And also maybe knew more about his voice and acting and stuff by the second half. It was 8 months of filming.
Yeah, because I preferred his acting in the first half compared to what we get in the second half.
I always found him likable, which is all I needed. I was more into the idea that Sarah Connor had developed like a bond with the Terminator, which after the first movie is probably the biggest hurdle, is how can she see him? By the end, she's cool with him, and I think there's something there that's pretty cool.
It's also kind of weird to me for one reason. We don't get a whole lot of interactions between her and the Terminator.
I think
at least not enough for her to actually feel that bond.
But when she's seeing him as a father figure, she's respecting that. She's like, wow, I've dated different guys, but this dude's the best father he's ever had. So I think she respects that part of it. And then by this time, she can see like, okay, clearly he's on my side.
Well, there's the other thing of this kid pretty much turned him into the father he wants. Kid's really just programming him into the father figure he thinks his father Reese would have been.
When you have a dog, you train the dog.
It's how I trained a father.
Yeah.
I say I don't have any emotional impact on this movie at all.
I don't think you grew up with the movie either, though. So
I watched it once. That's about it.
The thing I like about the first one more is that the first one didn't try to shoehorn any comedy into it. It was just straight dark the whole time. This does have some more lighter comedic moments. I think is like trying to appeal to like a kid's audience a little bit. And the death scene, the death scenes are so brutal. I would never show a kid the movie because it's
right. So
it's like Jesus. I think there's 3 good performances, which is like the 2 standouts are Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton, and Robert Patrick. Robert Patrick is amazing in this role. T-1000 is definitely one of the most iconic, best villains of all time. Arnold's lack of acting, I think, is good here because most stars, if it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger stars in Terminator, if it's like a Bruce Willis movie or some other star movie, they try to overpower the movie and like steal the shine of the other actors and kind of make it about them. He's happy to be in the background, and his lack of acting allows the others to shine. So I think it's good. It's not really an Arnold movie. It's like he's in the movie, but it's not like Commando or like Predator where he's like controlling it.
His name is on the top of the
cover. Oh, I know, but I think beautifully like the first one, he allows the other actors to shine. He doesn't like try to overpower the movie. All the acting is strong. The special effects are strong. The action scenes are well paced out. I've started to realize that nonstop action can get tedious. If it's just balls to wall action, you do got to break it up with stuff in between. So this movie is well paced out in terms of the action scenes. I recognize this is one of the greatest action movies, but I do prefer part one because I think it's just the genre. I just like part one's more of a sci-fi thriller / horror, and this is more just straightforward action. It's the same thing of like preferring Alien to Aliens. It's like a different genre almost, even though it's like a sequel. I still got to go 3.5 stars. I can see why it's in everybody's top 10 action movie list. I can rewatch this every couple of years and have fun with it. Yeah, I'm going 3.5, which is what I gave the first Terminator. Even though I slightly prefer the first Terminator.
I was not as impressed with this movie as I thought I was going to be after so many years of not watching it. I do like the effects. I do like most of the acting. And I do like the action scenes. But overall, this one just felt like it should have been cut down a little bit. And there really wasn't that much of anything memorable besides Robert Patrick. Overall, the movie is a fun time to watch. But me personally, I'm probably not going to come back to it anytime soon. I'm also not a big sci-fi fan, so that's probably part of it. The emotional scenes were not emotional enough for me. I didn't get a tear. I honestly was just like, it's a robot, just burn them already.
Cold-blooded.
It's like breaking a kid's favorite toy. You can get them a new one. So overall...
It's more like killing his dog, so his dog dying.
So overall, because Vic still hates me for Tremors, I'm going to give this movie the same thing I gave Tremors, of 2.5.
Nick is the first person in the history of the world to give Terminator 2. I mean, 2.5 is still okay.
It's respectable, but like I said, it could be because I prefer more martial arts action, and I'm not a big fan of sci-fi. But still,
fair. Maybe Terminator's not your bag. I get it.
But still, overall, to me, this movie is a 2.5. And as always, folks, you don't have to go home, but you do got to go on Amazon and buy yourself this card game called Muffin Time.
Muffin Time, not named after Muffins the dog, who's dead as a Terminator.
Muffins is alive.
Nope, Muffins and Paul, both goners.
Paul's gone. Muffins is alive.
Muffins dead too.
Muffins is not dead.
He made a nice meal for Jason. We're going to make sure Nick cuts off the Mountain Dew before bedtime.
I didn't even drink Mountain Dew for like 4 hours before going to bed.
All right, until next week.